Joining us now, the A-Team Democratic strategist, former spokeswoman for Howard Dean, Al Gore, Christy Setzer. Good to have you with us, Christy. Former member of President George W. Bush's senior staff, Brad Blakeman. Brad, good to have you with us. Let's start. Christy, why in the world won't the president talk to the American people about Ebola?
Well, as you were talking about earlier, Lou, he thought that the fact that we had a really good economic report today was probably maybe a little bit more important than the fact that 1 or 2 Americans who have been quarantined have Ebola. You know, look, if you want to talk about the economy, that's actually the issue that's most important to Americans right now. It's not Ebola. So, I have to say I agree with him.
Okay, great. And Brad, what do you think?
I think the president's looking for any excuse to get away from these international issues which have touched our shores, whether it's the beheading of Americans, whether it's Ebola. The economic good news, by the way, that we had today pales in comparison to the bad news on the economy that the president refuses to talk about.
What is that? I'm sorry, what is that bad news in the economy? Because the truth is that we're at our lowest unemployment rate in 6 years. We created 250,000 new jobs this past month. You know, the Dow is still at 17,000. So, I mean, again, I think that if we're going to look at the economy in that way, it's doing pretty well. I'm not sure what the bad news is.
Well, let me tell you what the bad news is. It's not how good Wall Street is doing, Christy. It's how good Main Street is doing. Main Street isn't doing very well. So many people have left the job force or are underemployed. This is the type of bad news that this administration refuses to acknowledge. And by the way, your talking points, Christy, that have just come out from Democrats is the best Americans can hope for. The new American dream under the Democrats is a minimum wage. Well, guess what? You can't get to the middle class through a minimum wage.
Well, Brad, I realize you've been using those talking points for several years now that, you know, Wall Street might be doing well, but not Main Street. But the fact is that Main Street is starting to doing well as well. The housing market's getting better. All of these different meters, you know, consumer confidence is up. There's a number of different ways in which Americans are saying we really do believe the economy is turning around. Consumer
confidence went down in the most recent report. The fact of the matter is home ownership is down from 67% to 65% in this country. Household median income has fallen from the time the president took office from $54,000 per household to now $51,000. So I'm not going to take sides in tonight's debate, but I will side always with the facts, and those are the facts. Also, we should point out, when you talk about the unemployment rate, that the labor force participation rate reveals 55.5 million Americans who are women are no longer working. They're not participating in the workforce. That is, I think, a fair characterization of a war on women, if there were any war being conducted at all. Don't you, Christy?
No, I don't actually agree with that.
I didn't think you would, but I thought I'd ask.
I mean, nice try, and I applaud that. But no, I mean, look, I think that if, you know, Republicans wanted to stop their war on women, they could increase the minimum wage. They could, you know, support laws for pay equity, that sort of thing. You know, these are the things that really would help women in the workplace and would be laws that allow them to be economically competitive.
What would any of that do for 55.5 million women who aren't in the workforce? Well,
there's all kinds of reasons. Well, there's all kinds of reasons why women aren't, you know, why certain numbers of women aren't in the workforce, and some of it is voluntary, and, you know, and so I'm not exactly sure where that number comes from, but, you know, but the truth is that...
It comes from the Department of Labor. Yeah.
Right, I understand, but what I'm saying is that
and by the way, if you really want to help women, it's not helping the families of Americans by having 1 in 5 people on some form of government assistance, including food stamps. This war on women is a total sham, and women are starting to get it.
Republicans cut budgets for things like food stamps. Those are, you know, the things that can lift people out of poverty.
You know, that
Republicans have consistently cut them.
There were only 32 million people on food stamps when the president took office, Christy. Now there are 46 million.
And so we should be cutting food stamps? Is that
no, it goes to your point that everything is just rosy and boffo in America, when, to actually Brad's point, you know, Main Street is suffering a little, as Main Street is defined by working men and women and those who aspire to it in this country. Let me turn to Leon Panetta, who's worked for, you know, Bill Clinton. He's worked for Barack Obama. He effectively has said that President Obama, Christy, is ineffective, incompetent.
Yeah, well, what he said was we didn't see certain things that we probably should have seen, and I have to say that it's somewhat inappropriate to say it while the president is still in office. You know, this is a man, Leon Panetta, who didn't play a small role in our foreign policy and in shaping some of those policies. But, you know, it's a free country. He can say what he wants.
Well, here's what Leon Panetta said. He said, I saw things that the president should have seen. We warned the president about things the president should have seen. And Leon Panetta's trying to save his own reputation before the White House demonizes the people who were around him that warned him about what was coming down on America.
Brad Blakeman, Christy Setzer, thank you both for being here. Appreciate it.
Good to be here.
We're coming right back. Stay with us.